So, still waiting for the thing to pop up. Um, oh God, now it's saying my internet's shit. Oh, that's great.
No.
So anyway, hey, yeah, we're live. Hey, how you guys doing? So this is a little test run that I've been wanting to do for a talk show called the SoMattyGameZ Talk Show. It was something I was going to do as a podcast and recorded that, um, a pilot, and just didn't really have the time for it. So now we have time. Our game didn't work, and I'm here with my friends Dana and Riley, and we're gonna just hang out and chat. So I don't know if anybody's here or if anybody is going to hang out. Um, Hey, Throck is in the room, so that is somebody. Hey, somebody's here. That's awesome. Hey, anyway, we all play together on Tal'Dorei New Dawn, and let's talk a little bit about that. Riley, so what was the inspiration for Sylvia?
Okay. So I wanted to try and create something that I've never created before, and it just kind of spiraled after that. Um, so I was like, okay, I've never seen an air genasi before. And I was like, well, I couldn't decide between like all the different like elements. And then I was like, oh, if you're an air genasi, you don't have to breathe. You can hold your breath forever. And I was like, that's useful. So then I picked that, and then I was like, we need a healer. And so then I went from there. And then her personality just kind of happened, and then I just rolled with it.
Pretty organic, right?
Yeah, just organic. Like I just kind of fed off of Sanguine, and then I was like, well, this is it. She's a moron.
Uh,
Oh no.
I love it. That's hilarious. Uh, Dana, what about Reina?
Well, okay. Well, I remember when Brian first brought it up while we were still doing Galactic Mistakes that he wanted to run a Tal'Dorei game. And I was like, well, it would probably be the first Tal'Dorei game streamed, and that started. And then I actually couldn't be in it at first because I had another game on Wednesdays. And then that game and all that fell through. And I posted on Twitter that I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a game." And Brian was like, "Well, Cole had to drop, so if you want to do Tal'Dorei with us, then you would be more than welcome to." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So everybody else already had their characters, and I'm kind of like a fill-in kind of person. So if I come in late, I want to fill in other positions in the group to kind of balance it out. And I had never played a rogue or a ranger before, and I was like, well, I kind of want to play one or the other. Both would be useful. And Brian was just like, just do what you want because that's the kind of game that we want to play with. You want to play what you want to play. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be a rogue who is a ranger by trade, but is not actually a ranger and is a rogue.
Rogue.
And it's very confusing. But yeah, and that's just kind of how she was born.
That's awesome.
I still have not played a ranger. Maybe one day.
Right. I don't know if I'm ever gonna play Ranger. Maybe if they fix the Ranger. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the 5e Ranger as it stands, but that's just a personal opinion. It's all good. Um, the funny thing about my addition into the game was you guys played your first game, and I was watching. I was in the room. I was chatting and everything, and I was just like, and I was looking at the time, and I'm going, I could do this. I could totally. Oh, I could do this. And so then I just messaged Brian like during the game. I was like, dude, if you need a fifth player, let me know. And as soon as the stream was over, he was just like, "Oh yeah, dude, we're so in." And then I started getting all these messages from people like Cy and Carrie, and just saying, I think everyone said, "Was it fuck yeah?" Like, that's all I got. Twitter DMs. So I was like, "Oh, okay, awesome. I'm in." And I was looking at the group, and how everyone, I mean, except for Dana, everyone basically put their dump stat in intelligence, and so I was making a big joke.
Yeah.
I was making a big joke. It was like dump stat intelligence instead of dump stat charisma, and uh, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna play a wizard. But I've been dying to play a wizard for the longest time. I was teetering between. I almost played a Hobgoblin War Wizard in Threads of Fate. So,
Ooh.
but I let my soul like just like hold on and go, no, you're gonna play a cleric, because I love clerics, and and I'm glad because Nox is awesome. I love that character, but I'm super stoked to be able to play this emotionless Hobgoblin Wizard. And yeah, it's totally fun. I've never really gotten to play a wizard because yeah, in first edition, which is mostly what I played when I was younger, you don't play a wizard in first edition, um, or you do, but they don't make it past first level because like you literally roll for hit points, and wizards in first edition got 1d4. So
Oh,
there's a very good chance that you might start the game with one or maybe two hit points to start the game. And the wizards in first edition need more experience points than any other class to get to the next level. First edition's crazy. I loved it, but I'm happy with fifth.
I would be so upset walking around with one hit point.
Yeah, yeah. So
Nope.
you didn't really. I mean, it was really difficult to play a wizard in first edition to make it past first level, if that. Because it was like they had like this sliding scale. So like I think the class that needed the least amount of hit points, I think, was a rogue, and then it was a fighter, and then it was a cleric, and then it was a wizard. So I think a rogue could literally get to third level by the time the wizard got to second, or something like that. It was crazy.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I totally don't miss that. It was fun, but this is much more fun. I do love fifth edition. So Riley, you played in another game with Brian and Quinn and Cy and Derek, correct?
Yeah.
And you guys played until you were like 20th level, right?
Yeah, I think it was like a 2 year long deal
That's
with the
amazing.
same characters. Yeah.
Talk about that. Talk about that. Talk about your character and stuff like that.
So that was my first game ever, my first campaign ever. So playing other characters after that, I was kind of delusional on the fact that like you die because my first character I ever made never died. And it wasn't because like Quinn went easy on us or whatever, let us get away with, certain things, which he did let us get away with some things, but like there were certain times where it's like I think he wanted my character dead. He
Right.
told me, write up another character, like you're gonna die. And I was like, no, bitch, like this is it. This is my ride or die character. Like she's not going down.
Right.
But it was a lot of fun because like after like a year in and we're like level 15 at this point, we're doing stupid OP things that we shouldn't be able to do. Cy ended up with a griffin pet named Pepper.
Right.
And like there was just so many inside jokes. Like and our characters had so much more of a back. That was the coolest part about it. Is like all the characters together had more of a backstory of what we've played together. Like there was one time where we were fighting a giant on a bridge, and I got pushed off into the lava, and the only reason I survived was because I was a tiefling, so I took half of the fire damage.
Oh my
So it
God.
bought me enough time to where I could get pulled out of the lava again and survive. And which then later in the game I ended up becoming human because the deck of many things is an evil thing, and I was forced to play it even though I screamed that I didn't want to touch it. So I mean the coolest part is just when you create the backstories with each other.
Yeah.
So you have inside jokes within the characters from the times that you've played together, and like you have common enemies at that point. Or we had one party member who she ended up going to school full time, so she wasn't able to play with us anymore. So her character was made into a vampire, and we forgot about her. So she ended up just loose in the city.
Oh.
And I don't know, it's just fun.
That's
It's
awesome.
just a lot of fun.
I love that. Like a 2-year campaign. That's great. I love that. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she murdered a lot of innocent people, and it's because to. I just forgot about her.
That's hilarious.
It was my bad. I had a Mordecai's Magnificent Mansion up, but it only lasts for so long, and then the person just ends up like where the door was. I totally forgot, totally spaced. And then Quinn was like, "Oh, do you open up your mansion again or whatever or something like that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, by the way, Anne's not there." I was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean she's not there?"
That's
Yeah, we never
hilarious.
found her.
Uh,
So she's out there somewhere.
so your former friends or former um your former party member
Yeah.
was turned into a vampire and is loose somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My bad.
Oh, well, shit
Oops.
happens.
She's the real winner in all this.
Oh, we all agreed that to just say we never knew her.
Oh,
I think
wow.
that's what the deal was.
That's pretty
If it got
cold-hearted.
brought,
That's
don't
pretty
know. Nope. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Not familiar.
that's cold. That's cold. So, Dana, talk about your experience with Dungeons and Dragons because I know it hasn't been that long, correct?
Yeah, it's been pretty brief compared to a lot of the people I've met in the community. I started with, like many people now, I started watching Critical Role, uh, March 2017,
Okay.
and about a year ago this month, I started. I wanted to find a group, couldn't find a group to play in. Was like, I pulled some of my coworkers. I'm like, "Do you want to play Dungeons and Dragons with me?" And they were like, "Yeah." And so I actually started DMing before playing, and I DM'd my own homebrew game, and we've been going for a year now.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
and which is mind-boggling to think about that these people still want to play Dungeon. They're still fifth level because we've taken multiple month-long breaks because like we all work retail, so the holidays are
Yeah.
really hard, and then sometimes like schedules just don't line up, so we just don't play for like a month at a time. Um, but fifth edition is the only system I've ever played inside Dungeons and Dragons. But it compared to like what I've read from other editions, especially since I own like most of the PDFs for 3.5, it seems to be a lot easier to like understand. And maybe that's because I watched Critical Role first, so I had that introduction to fifth edition, which is hilarious because they started in Pathfinder and then converted to fifth edition.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't
Oh,
their
I
know
home
didn't
game
know
was
that.
that.
Pathfinder, and then they switched to fifth edition for the stream,
Oh, okay.
which is
Okay.
why they had all that cool shit that doesn't actually exist
Right.
because they had to convert it.
Right.
But that's and now I've played in multiple games. I'm running 2 games right now as a dungeon master, and I like it a lot. Like I'd keep doing it forever if I could.
That's awesome. Gosh, only a year. That's crazy. Yeah. God. Yeah, I started playing when I was 14, and I, like I said, I played first edition, and this was back in the 90s. I'm really old, everybody. Um, and yeah, it was great, and I played until I think I was about 21 or so, and then I just kind of got out of gaming. Um, it starts with like that one mate like serious relationship you're in. They're not into gaming and you're just like, "Okay, whatever you want. I don't need a game. I love you." Ugh. Yeah, and then you get out of gaming and then it's like, "Oh, well," and then I just never really got I mean, it just took me a really long time to get back into it. I I think it was a few years ago I was talking to a nephew of mine who is only like 7 years younger than me. So when I say nephew, I'm not talking about a 5-year-old. I'm talking about a 30 something year old. And,
Yeah. Let's not
and
math.
yeah, let's not math. Math is not great. And so they were talking, he was talking about him and his friends were trying to play D&D, and I was like, oh great, and we tried to do this thing online with his group, and it wasn't really working out. And then I guess it turned out his group wasn't like staying up with it and everything. And so my nephew and his wife, they really wanted to play D&D. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Like it'll be just the three of us. We'll get on Skype once a week and we'll play, And so I think we started with my nephew ran a game for us, and then after a little while I started to run a game for them, and we would take turns and things like that. And because there was just two players, each player actually played a character of theirs and an NPC that they created. So
Oh,
um,
that's kind of a cool idea.
yeah, I mean, it really worked out for us because one, we got to balance our party, and two, we got to try different types of characters, and it was great for my niece because she had never played D&D before. This was all brand new to her, so she was really like learning, just like right in there with, while she was playing I think in the first game she was playing a sorceress and a ranger. So I mean, she really, got to see a lot, got to experience a lot, and it was great, and for her to learn the game and stuff like that. And yeah, and then so we were totally in it for a while, and then it was around Christmas things just kind of stopped. Like things changed in their lives and everything like that. And then I was in the Thread Raiders Discord, and a few of us were talking, and all of a sudden we're like, let's put together a game. Okay, sure. And then Quinn jumped in, and hey, there he is, Mage is there. And and then boom, Quinn popped in and was like, I'll run a game for you guys. We're like, okay. And that's how Threads of Fate started. So, and here we are.
Oh, that's funny. I just remembered, like, because I was trying to think, I was like, how did I even end up in a D&D game? Because I'd never heard of it before. So
Same.
I met Brian at work. They worked at the same dealership. And what did we do? We did like dinner or something, or we were going to go to dinner. Oh, no, we played Overwatch together. That's how I got to know Brian, is
Oh,
because we
okay.
played Overwatch. That's what it was. And so Sai was like, "You're gonna get on tonight," and he's like, "Oh no, like I probably won't be able to get on for every Saturday now, um, but I don't want to say what it is or blah blah blah." And he was like, "It's like super like nerdy or blah blah blah." And so
Uh-huh.
Sai was like, "Sorry, I'm trying not to get caught up in my story, because I use way too many details sometimes." Okay,
It's
so then
okay.
Sai was like, if you're playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons and we're not, and you didn't invite us, I'm gonna be hella mad. And he was like totally joking, like it was like the only thing he could think of. And Brian was like, "Well, that's what it is. You want to come?" And so I was like, "Oh, okay, sure, why not?" And so we just kind of showed up on a whim. I had no idea what it was, never seen a book like the player's handbook before. And I remember Quinn's brother was trying to teach me like how to roll a character. And I remember looking at this thing like, what the hell did I get myself into? Like with all the numbers. And then, yeah, and then that's how that happened. So mine was a happy accident. I was just at the right place at the right time
That's
doing new
hilarious.
things.
Yeah, I
That's some good
totally
shit.
I totally get that because when uh the first time I played, my cousin, I just moved to Southern California, and I was living with my cousin who's like just a little over a year older, or around a year older than me, or he's like the next grade up. And so we're really close in age, and all of his friends were having, or he was having all of his friends over for President's Day, and they were all going to play D&D in the garage. And I was like, what? You know? And so I was just hanging out with them, and I mean, there was like 12 or 14 of them. I can't remember. So many of them. And they're all playing, and I was just like hanging out like at like near them and listening and watching and stuff. So one of them finally just talked me into making a character, and I was like, okay, so I just made like a regular fighter, but for whatever reason, I chose neutral evil as his alignment. I don't know. Um, I don't know. Maybe teenage Maddie had some really dark issues. I don't know.
Don't we
Um,
all? Don't we all?
yeah, and so
At least you understood alignments because it
uh,
was like an ongoing thing. I could not get alignments.
yeah, I didn't really understand it, but I was just like, okay, I rolled with it. And then so like there was this douchey guy, a douchey friend of my cousin's that was playing, and he was playing a monk. And all I remember was he was kind of being a dick, or he was being a douche. I don't know. I bad vibes from the dude, and he did something, or he didn't attack, or something like that. And so I was just like, I'm gonna attack the monk.
Oh,
And it was a first edition monk. They have like 1d4 hit points at first level, so
No.
I killed the monk. and and that was my introduction to D&D. And suffice to say, yeah, I'm an avid player, but
wait, you can fight the other players?
oh sure, you can attack another player. Why not?
That's allowed?
Sure, why not?
I did not know that that was allowed.
Oh sure, you can.
Technically, PvP is always allowed if the DM allows
Yeah,
it.
anytime. But so it was just like one of those things. So douchey guy, his name is oh gosh.
Out
I
him right now,
I
Maddie.
hope
Out him.
nobody sees this because I'm my cousin. He does kind of follow me on Twitter. Um, so, but his name was John something, and we were never friends. Never. I mean, I got super tight with all my cousin's friends. They all became my friends. We were all like,
But
we
not the monk.
we all grew up together, but not this guy. Like, he was always douchey. I'm just, like, so, I think I had pretty good instincts. I don't know. That's just me. I don't know. Whatever. Uh, Dana, what was the first character you ever made?
My first character I ever made was a warlock because I was playing Neverwinter on my Xbox and it was the character that I liked the most. So I was like, I'm gonna roll a warlock for Dungeons and Dragons without realizing how different the spellcasting mechanics are for warlocks compared to every other spellcasting class. I
Yeah.
spent the first month very confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, warlock is not only my first class, it is still my favorite class. Like, I love warlocks; they are amazing.
That's funny. I can't seem to get into warlocks. I want to. I don't know. Maybe it's the honestly, I think it's the two spell slot thing that keeps me going.
That makes sense.
I don't know, but I should probably play one and try it, but um
But they like with warlocks, you get so much more than just your spells, and you get them back on a short rest anyway.
yeah.
And then you have all the packed up evocations, you have cantrips, you have what have you, and then you have this patron overhanging you who could literally do whatever they wanted at any point, and you're just like, okay. I just love how versatile they are. They can do so much.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I should probably, I mean, I have a billion characters I want to try. I'm not sure. I think I made a warlock because somebody put a like a homebrewed patron in D&D Beyond, and it was the patron of the ancient dragon. And I was reading it, I was going, "Oh, this is kind of cool." And then I was like, "Ooh, like I want to make a kobold who's like, like a warlock with the patron of the ancient dragon because they're little dragons. They want to, like they they want to be dragons, like they it's like all in their psyche and stuff." And I thought, "Ooh, that'd be super cool." And so I do have like this I do have a character in D&D Beyond that's a kobold warlock of the ancient dragon.
Yes.
So
Yes.
That's awesome.
um, all these characters that I have in D&D Beyond that I'm never gonna play because I never have time to play games other than the two I'm playing in now. So I keep trying to get into one shots and stuff like that, but um,
When
it's
your schedule doesn't line up, you're just like, I'm
it's
sorry.
hard. I mean, I live on the west side of the country, of the United States, and you know, so many other things. It's either like too early or it's on the weekends. I can't do weekends because that's Mark's time, So
It's hubby time.
yeah, gotta respect that. Um, and I tell you, the most adorable thing ever is when Mark played that Christmas one shot, and I tell you, he got really into it, and he was like planning and stuff like that, like, okay guys, like this is what we need to do, and I was just like, oh my god, you've never been sexier. But that brings up a good topic because Riley, you and Sai, you guys play D&D together.
Yep, that's all. We've always played games together, actually. I think
Okay,
the only game that I wasn't in with him was the Star Wars one we
Yeah.
ran for a quick minute.
right. So, how far back does that stem? With the games between you guys.
Uh, well, I've always gamed.
Okay.
So I think we started dating when I was 17. So for a few years, I wasn't gaming as much because, partying and being angsty and things. And
Yes.
then I got back into gaming, and then I kind of just we got two PlayStations because I don't share. And yeah, we've just been playing together. But now he likes Fortnite, but I play Overwatch. I can't do Fortnite.
Clashing.
I cannot do Fortnite.
I've heard that a lot from like friends who play Overwatch. They can't play Fortnite because it's just.
It drives me nuts.
Mhm.
It drives me nuts. I'm gonna like. I always fall off things, and or like I just can't get the mechanics down of the third person because I'm used to a first person shooter. And
Yep.
then people take advantage of when you're a third person shooter, like you can peek corners and stuff. Like I can't remember if it's to the right or to the left, where you're not actually peeking, but you can still see around the corner. I don't know how to do that. I don't know all the tricks and stuff to win. And so I just get killed and I don't like it. And I can't snipe. And I think that's dumb. But yeah, so we game together sometimes when we like the
Sometimes.
same game.
Well, I mean, I think that's fun, I mean, honestly, I don't think it's a necessity in a relationship, that you need to
No.
like do the same things all the time and everything like that.
Yeah,
But
we get our alone time that way, actually, now that I think about it. Like even though we're in the same house, like we still get our own space to like decompress and like do our own thing. But then
yeah,
we watch like the same shows or like do like we live together, like do everything else together. But then when it
uh,
comes to gaming, I'm like, okay, like I need to climb and you need to get on my face
nice.
because I'm busy.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah, because you gotta have some time on your own to like, just kind of do your own thing, and you know,
Pepper.
and there's Fang.
Hi,
Everybody,
boobies.
our whole
Yeah, this is Fang, everybody.
yep,
Okay, that's nice kisses. Thank you, boy.
our big giant audience and stuff. Um,
Uh-huh.
so let's see, because I just threw this together on a whim, because we weren't going to be able to game tonight, and I thought, why not? Like we're going to be up, so why waste that time? So
Right? And we want to test, you wanted to test it out, right? To see
yeah.
how all your stuff runs
I
and
actually I put together all the graphics and stuff like that for this for the D&D thing before I even uh asked you guys to play D&D. I'd already had like a plan in place, like in case we were gonna do, like I was gonna do one shots, but just like when.
right.
Um And then, I thought, oh, maybe I'll test out this talk show thing. And when I get into the zone of like working with like Adobe Illustrator and stuff like that, like I just get into it, and I'm like, okay, I want to create this and create that, and it got um, it got pretty crazy. So yeah, I had
It looks awesome.
all
It looks
this
great.
all this ready. At all I had to do was go, okay, I need to do window captures, and let's throw it on. Yeah, so I like it. I think it looks nice. I'm pretty happy with it.
It looks pretty great to me.
I like how clean it is.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So,
I have a question for Riley whenever we
yeah.
get it.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, okay.
It's not bad.
Okay,
no,
I'm ready.
It was brought up earlier. You were the only girl in your game for a while. I remember watching some of the streams like Norvos and stuff, and you were the only girl.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to know how you feel about how you were the only girl for a while and how you feel now compared to getting to play with a more combined table.
I like it. So I am an only child to my dad. So I was his son and daughter. So I was his little girl, but he also was competitive and we liked sports. So like I got a little bit of both the masculinity and femininity. Like I wasn't raised one way or the other. And I was always told, like, don't let these boys push you around. Because I was on like an all boys baseball team once. It was a co-ed, but it was all boys and I was the only girl. So my dad was like, don't let these little shits push you around. You're just as good. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or girl. So for me, when I'm in these situations where I'm the only female, sometimes I can see like the difference you get treated. And I think I'm very lucky because I'm outspoken, I'm loud. And if someone does accidentally talk over me, I'm like, hey, hello, I'm here. You can't do that, So I can see where, some of my peers could feel as if they weren't heard. But I think for the most part, I have not encountered like anything negative. Sometimes I do get spoken over a lot. Like that's a thing. And I think that's how I became loud over time. But I don't think people do it on purpose for the most part. But I've had a pretty positive experience thus far.
That's awesome.
And I mean, you played with like Brian and Quinn and Derek, who are pretty open.
Yeah, so I mean, I got
accepting
right
anyway.
Off the bat.
Yeah, so
I mean, there was definitely times where we would all butt heads, or like I think at first when I started playing, I was much more timid, and this game has really opened me up too a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I think I got spoiled. I got good people right off the bat, so
yeah,
I never
you did
anything.
get a lot of really good people to play with right away. So that's nice. I was very lucky in that sense too. What about you, Dana? What about the group that you put together? Like, tell us about that group.
Okay, yeah. So my homebrew game and my Out of the Abyss game are both combined tables. My homebrew game is myself, my friend Erica, her husband Ricky, our friend Katie, and my friend Remy. And Remy's kind of androgynous, kind of non-binary, but does use he, him pronouns. Ricky uses he, him. Me, Erica, and Katie all use she, her. So our table's pretty combined. Yeah. And I'm a female dungeon master, so that makes it a little bit different. Plus, my Out of the Abyss game has my friend Jared. Keely's in it. Halfling Trouble on Twitter. Star, I cannot remember her Twitter handle off the top of my head at the moment. And Cole, who uses they, them pronouns. And it's really funny about my Out of the Abyss game because Cole's character uses he, him pronouns. Jared's character uses she, her pronouns.
Yeah.
And Star's character uses he, him pronouns. Keely's character is the only character that uses the same pronouns that she does. And I think that's so funny that they all chose to do that separately. I think that's hilarious. And I've never been in a game as a player that wasn't a mixed table. So my first game for 6 months, it was me and Keely as players and a male DM. So it was just the two of us. We had like an NPC party basically following us so we wouldn't die. Yeah. But most of my tables have been mixed, and I've never been at a table where it's just been all alike or someone singled out. So, I mean, and I don't think that would be necessarily bad if that's just how the table makeup is. It
Yeah,
just depends on the attitude of everybody at the table. But I mean, all of mine have been pretty positive. I've never had an issue at a table so far. But again, most of my gaming is also online. I have one IRL game, and that's the homebrew game that I run. So it might be that as well, where you can find like-minded people to play with.
that's true. I
Yeah.
mean, it is a lot harder. Uh, I at least for you know, at least for me, I am socially awkward, and I I don't I don't do good meeting new people face to face and things, and I'm just yeah, I socially anxiety and all that stuff. Yeah, so
Preach.
like finding friends online and actually like starting games with them, and they're people that I know and I like and I get along with and stuff like that, and it's totally like, oh, this is so easy, you know. Um, but I'm a 40-year-old man, and when I walk into the local game store, I'm usually the oldest one there. And even if I'm not, it's still weird. I'm just like all these strangers, and they're all looking at me like, "Who's that old fucker?" or whatever. So I don't know.
That's the only experiences that I've had though that are like iffy is if
Yeah,
I go into
same.
a game store or even like GameStop or anything, they talk to me like I'm an idiot and they're like, "What are you buying for your boyfriend?" I'm
Right,
like, I'm buying shit for me.
right.
Right.
Okay. He doesn't even know what half this crap is.
I don't
Okay.
even go to one of this game stores anymore because whenever I go in with my IRL group, they always talk to Ricky or Remy, but not to the rest of us. Because they think we're just hanging out and they're the ones looking for things, even though the rest of us go in way more often. So I stopped going to that store entirely because I'm like, you know what?
Oh,
No, I will go to the one that's also closer to my home where they don't treat me like that.
oh, I'm
Yeah.
awful. I start sitting there and talking and bringing up stuff because I like when I'm interested in something, I'm kind of like a sponge. So I just start bringing up stuff and then I wait and I look for the hole and the gap in their knowledge. And then I just sink right in there.
Snipe.
And I'm like, oh, you don't know? Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, that's weird. I thought you knew. And then I end it. I don't put up with that.
Well, I will say it's one of those things like because when I was playing D&D when I was younger, we didn't have any girls playing D&D with us. And the only time that we ever had a girl playing D&D was if one of the guy's girlfriends wanted to play D&D with us. And then it was usually maybe once or twice,
Mhm.
and they weren't really into it. Um, and I mean, and so it's just what I grew up with. We didn't
Right.
have girls playing with us, and I would have loved to have had girls play with us because as a gay man, I naturally, like, I honestly, on a natural sense, like around people around me and stuff like that, whether you're friends or not, um, I feel more comfortable around women. Like just
Mhm.
being just jokey and silly and whatnot. I mean, honestly, sometimes when I'm hanging out with other like straight men, like sometimes I feel a little like self-conscious, like just um I don't know, I just feel weird. And so I always had a hard time just like being myself around a bunch of, dudes. Um and but that's just me. That's my thing, you know. Um it's a lot different now, because I have friends that are most of my friends, most of my friends are straight dudes, like um, that are dudes, I have exceptions, um, but it's totally different now because I mean, like, some of the dudeliest dudes are like people like Brian and Quinn and stuff like that, and they totally are cool. It's like they don't hesitate to say "I love you" or something like that. It's like
Yeah. They're
they're
very open.
yeah, and I think it's different nowadays than it was back in the '90s and things like that. So, you know, times change, people change. It's a different world that we're living in, and it's it still has its issues, obviously.
Yeah.
There's still gatekeeping going on, and there's
God.
still misogynists out there, and um, but the great thing is that the D&D RPG Twitter community at large, the majority are um, they're the good ones. They're the good people that are trying to be inclusive and trying to create spaces where everyone can play D&D as they are and who they are. And it's great. I think we're really lucky to have this community to, I wouldn't know you guys without it.
Hmm.
And I'm so blessed that I get to play D&D with you guys every week, and that you're my friends, and that we can sit here and chat like this. It's awesome. You know.
Yeah, I'm so happy that the D&D community is as open and accepting as it is, because I feel like if I had tried to get into D&D when I was in high school, that it probably wouldn't have stuck, because any kind of like prejudice or anything like that really turns me off to certain things like super hard. Like I've left a lot of like fandoms for shows and movies and stuff because of stuff like that, like how toxic some things can be. And if it were anything like it used to be like in the 80s and the 90s, and if I had been exposed to that, I probably would have just stopped being a part of it, because that's just how I am as a person.
Yeah, I get
So
that.
Yeah.
I count myself really lucky that even though I'm in it late, that it's the way it is now, and it's only getting better.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Well, um, golly, let's see. Yeah, we've been going for a little over 40 minutes now.
Oh
Um,
wow, yeah.
and oh, question for everyone. Okay, so we do have a question from Mage in the audience, and let's see. So, question for everyone: what would be your favorite non-D&D tabletop RPG? Are there any others you have seen that you might be interested in learning to play? So that's a good question. Dana, uh,
Hold on, I have it on my shelf. I've just never gotten to play it. Hold on.
oh, okay.
Oh, come here. All of my books are squished onto this tiny, tiny bookshelf. So this is the Dragon Age rulebook
Oh, okay.
by Green Ronin Publishing. Um, Dragon Age for me was the first video game that got me back into gaming and nerd, like just nerd culture, basically. The summer after my freshman year of college, my friend was like, "Hey, you want to play this game with me?" And I was like, "Sure." And then when I saw it like Books a Million that they had this, I was like, "I need this. This is mine now." And this is like the one game I really want to play that's not like Dungeons and Dragons. So I
Okay.
haven't played too many outside of D&D. That's the number one game that I want to play.
Awesome. Do you have one, Riley?
Well, okay, so I've recently heard about the Vampire of the Masquerade
Right.
Awesome.
recently, and for some reason, all the other tabletop ones that I've heard of, I'm just like, I like D&D good enough. Like I'm not interested. Like I got D&D. Like, um, but for some reason, the Vampire Masquerade is like I'm really curious about it because
Okay.
like I just like what do you do? And Maddie sent me like a bunch of PDFs that I still need to kind of uh peek through and stuff like that. But that's the one that I'm kind of interested in.
Awesome. Well, um, then I definitely need to get you into the September October game, for sure.
I
And
think I have Vampire Fangs somewhere from Halloween.
uh, yeah, it's funny because when I was in high school, my friend Josh, he would find different games for us to like try out. And then, if we liked them, one of us would take it on and start running it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were pretty much just like D&D people. But so he introduced us to Vampire the Masquerade, and he introduced us to Shadowrun. That was the game that I took, and I actually ran Shadowrun um, quite exclusively in our group for a number of years. Sad thing is, I can't remember any of it, because it's a really complex game, and yeah, and I'm old, so. And then, so there were little games that we would kind of try out and stuff like that. The out of the games that are out there now, um, I don't know.
Have you tried Fate Core? Fate Core is a really interesting system too.
Oh, I've heard about it, and they did an episode of Tabletop about that, didn't they?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So obviously, yeah, anything that's been
that
on
was the one with
tabletop,
Felicia Day. Yeah.
yeah, anything that's been on tabletop, I'm always like kind of like, okay, I would like to try that. That is my favorite internet show ever, ever, ever. Um,
Come back, Will Wheaton. Come
I know.
back.
I know.
Which I mean, Game the Game with Becca Scott is basically the same concept, but she's the host, and it's really good too. Like I love Game the Game; it's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to check it out. I just I didn't really like the idea of having to pay alpha for shows that were just going to be on YouTube in a couple months kind of thing. And
Hmm.
the thing that bugged me most about that concept was that I couldn't stream it on my television like I could YouTube. You know, um, because I like to like lay in bed and just like turn it on the TV and not have to sit at my computer. So
Yeah.
I
um,
fixed that with an HDMI cord.
well, I mean,
I forgot about those days with the HDMI cord.
my TV's connected to my laptop now, but I mean, I still don't want to, it's like I want to be able to use my remote and stuff like that, like I don't have to keep going over to the computer and going, okay. Yeah, and that is why Will left tabletop because of
I
Alpha.
did not know that.
Yeah, it was all legendary they bought Geek and Sundry, and I probably shouldn't say too much because this is being broadcasted and stuff. But yeah, it's sad. It's like because he didn't like the whole concept that they were gonna make people pay to see the show and they were gonna have to wait. Um, and they already were, we were already waiting for months for this show to come out. And then when it was
Yeah.
about to come out, it got halted again because of this alpha thing that they were trying to throw together and get out there. Um, so it is what it is. But yeah, I was really bummed by the whole thing, and then I don't blame Will. Um, I would love him to find another company and make a similar show, because it was so good. It was so good. Like I have this giant shelf over there full of board games, and almost all of them were from that show. So, and so many people that watched that show did the exact same thing. All these, board game companies have made bucks off that one television show. You know.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I am an Alpha subscriber, and but I mean, I'm fortunate enough that I'm able to pay $5 a month. I know a lot of people in our community can't, and which makes me sad because there's so much good content on Alpha that everyone should get to watch. But I know the reason why they went to Alpha was because so they could get the funds in order to make those kind of shows like Sagas of Sundry, Dread, and Madness are my favorite things on Alpha right now. And of course, Real Life Frontier, and all the shows that are Alpha exclusive, both with Geek and Sundry and Nerdist, are. I mean, I personally am glad that I do, but I also understand why people were so against it.
yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just we're paying for so many things,
Yeah.
like um it's like we pay for broadcast TV, and then we pay for Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, and then it's like, okay, now you got to pay for, it's just like, golly, I love how things like Twitch work, where it's like if there's a channel that you like watching and you want to subscribe to that channel and give them $5 a month, to make their content and stuff like that, that's great. I love that concept, but paying such and such money per month for, just like a portion of the content that you're paying for.
I mean,
It's
it's the same with Alpha though. Like you pay $5 a month and you get access to the content. Plus, they always have the deal going on where for 2 months you can watch it for free and see if it's really worth it. Like that's
yeah.
what I did when I first started. I had the 2 month free trial with Alpha, and I'm like, well, I paid $10+ for Netflix. I paid $13 for Hulu, like $5 more for
Oh no, and I thought about
all
that too, and I was like,
Targaryen.
well, okay, but I mean, at the time, the only show I was watching was Tabletop. I mean, that was it. Um, I could probably get into some of their other shows. I think I'm just mad that Tabletop's not on there anymore, and I blame them, and I'm sorry, I do. It's your
That makes
fault.
sense. That makes a lot
You
of sense.
Yeah.
ruined Tabletop.
They had
You,
Escape the Room too on
you
Alpha as
pissed
well.
off Will Wheaton.
And Will Wheaton is a good man despite his cursed roles.
he is he's an amazing human being, and yeah, I was 10 years old when Star Trek: The Next Generation came out, so yeah, I was a big Wesley Crusher fan. Um, so yeah, I've been a Will Wheaton fan for over 30 years. Merry Christmas, Matthew.
Right.
uh, yeah.
I don't know. It just makes me wonder if there's like a different way to go about it or a better way to go about it where it still has the same business sense of like, because I can see it from like both sides. Like, you're creating this content, you're putting this content out, and you should be compensated for that. This is your craft, this is what you're creating, and you absolutely deserve to be compensated for it if someone wishes to purchase it. So I 100% I get that. And then, but I do get where everybody else is coming for because we have, it's one expense after another to do anything. You can't even breathe nowadays without it costing something, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
And
totally.
so it starts the way that our culture has kind of begun. It's like now when we hear like subscription or we hear this, we're like, oh, okay, somebody else is digging into our pockets. We end up viewing it differently. So I wonder if there's a way, which I think it's actually important for people to be able to see a lot of your content for free anyways, because that's free marketing. That's how you get people in that have never seen you before, because if they've never seen you before, they're not going to pay to see you.
Yeah,
Not, you know
not
what I mean?
yeah,
Like
not
they're not going to
yeah.
be interested. So there's got to be a way that you can get your content out there but also be compensated for that content, like kind of in the way that Twitch does it, but on your own entity as well. Like there has to be a middle ground to where people don't feel like, oh, it's something else that I'm forking my money to. It's something that they're like, oh, I want to support. It changes the mindset. It flips the psychology on itself. I don't know.
Yeah,
Or,
I
or
think
a way to communicate it better
yeah,
instead of making people feel like, because really it just comes down to how your consumers feel about it.
yeah, I totally agree. I think honestly what Alpha is and what they're doing is just like everybody else, and it's perfectly acceptable and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that. I think like my personal outlook on Alpha is was soured because of how they handled the situation
Right.
with Will Wheaton and Tabletop.
Yeah.
Um, I I think I'm honestly, I know that they make a lot of really good shows. I know that they have really great people working there and stuff like that, putting this stuff together.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and they're just, I mean, and if it's only $5 a month, that's really not that much. So I mean, honestly,
It's a Twitch subscription.
Right.
yeah, nothing against Alpha, but I mean, it's just like a personal thing. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have Will Wheaton in Tabletop anymore. I don't like you. Okay. You
That's
ruined my
funny. Yeah.
life. No, I'm just kidding. Um, but yeah, I do. For some reason, I'm holding this weird grudge. I don't know why it is.
Well,
So,
that's why it's so important to pay attention to how your consumers feel,
yeah.
and
And that's
I
the
think,
thing that they
yeah.
really
And
boned.
it's not that they're doing anything wrong, like business structure wise or
No.
anything like that. It's the platter that you displayed it on. You know what I mean? It's the way that it was presented and how it came down. So even if everything is perfectly lined up, if they, and I learned this doing hair. I can do someone's hair exactly how they asked me to do it, highlight it perfectly. I've got every little piece, like this piece is brown, this piece is blonde, because there's people specific like that. And you'll do it exactly as they
Sure.
say. But if for some reason I made them feel one way or the other, I could do the same job.
Yeah.
But depending on how I hold myself and how I talk to them, they're going to love or hate what I did. And it could be exactly the same. And that's why some people will end up staying with a hairdresser for like 40 years, but maybe they jack it up every time. It's because it matters how you make people feel. And I feel that's what a lot of these businesses miss, is they forget to take care of how they feel.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how logically everything's lined up. Pay attention to how you present yourself to your clients and how you treat everybody. You need to treat everybody well.
Yeah.
It's all top down from there, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost about to hit the hour mark, and I think this would be a good time to say goodnight.
This is a good test run.
Yeah, this is a really fun little test run. I loved the conversation, and it felt natural and really engaged, and this was really fun. And it, you know, I mean, I'm looking at like um, my numbers and the streaming and stuff like that, and it's been a little iffy here and there, but uh, I, hey, it's still coming through okay. So, um, well, anyway, anyone who does watch this, thank you for watching, and Mage, thank you for joining us and and being involved in the conversation. We really appreciate it, buddy. Um, so, uh, obviously, you can find me at SoMattyGameZ on Twitter and all over the internet. And you can see me play games on Soulbear RPG on their Twitch channel and on the Threadraiders Twitch channel. And Dana, where can everybody find you?
Hey, you can find me mostly on Twitter. That's where I live, at Dana Lee B. I mean, I also have an Instagram by that name. I do have a Twitch channel by that name. I don't do anything with it. I just watch things. And you can find me at those places. I don't really do much. Twitter is mostly where I'm at, and if I do anything, it'll be posted on Twitter. I also play games on Soulbear RPG on Wednesdays and on Saturdays in Lost in Time. So.
And Riley.
Okay, you can find me on Twitter at Riley Avery. I play on Soulbear RPG's Tal'Dorei campaign. Oh my god, my brain is stopping.
A new Dawn.
The new Dawn. Thank you.
Yeah.
A new Dawn. My brain just went.
I understand.
And I play that on Wednesdays, and then I'm a hairdresser by day and then gamer by night. I don't really stream other than that because I'm a chicken, and yeah, that's all I do.
And your Instagram account, which is
Hair by Riley Avery.
There we go.
And that's where you can see like my portfolio and stuff like that. Maybe getting into cosplay soon if I can put together a little workroom and stuff. Because yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. Love that. Well, all right. Thank you guys for doing this with me. I really appreciate this. And thank you all for watching. And we will see you next time. I don't know. Am I going to do this again? Maybe. We'll see.
Yes.
All right. Love you, folks. Bye.
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 And bye-bye.